You are listening to Talking Hoosier Baseball, a podcast by fans from the IUBase.com website for anyone wanting more info on Indiana University baseball. Today is Tuesday, May 28th, 2019. I'm Carl James, joined by stats guru Cassidy Palmer and the man who is never allowed to utter the phrase "two in a barbecue" ever again, Chris Feeney. The Hoosiers didn't even pitch Big Ten Pitcher of the Year Andrew Saalfrank in the Big Ten tournament, so it's only fitting our rotation is short as well, with IUBase.com creator Josh Bennett taking the night off. The Hoosiers had a very short week at the Big Ten tournament in Omaha. Paulie Milto had a quality start on Wednesday against Iowa without giving up a run until the seventh inning. Then Iowa put up a 3-spot to take a 3-1 lead, and eventually the game 4-2. Game 2 against Minnesota didn't go any better, and before it felt like it had begun, the Hoosiers were back at the BART practicing. Give me just a minute on the clips this week.
It's certainly exciting. This time of the year is. I don't really know exactly, to be honest with you. We've been a polarizing team throughout the whole season, and it's usually, you look at it, just to be completely honest, we'll get right, we'll get where we need to be at, and we'll play well for a couple weeks, and then we do some knucklehead things, and then we have to go back and get back to the basics and remind everybody what we have to do. Watch a bunch of video, have some difficult conversations, and then we usually go out and get back to our ourselves a little bit. It's frustrating to be polarizing, to kind of have the ebb and the flow of it, but that's also the challenge of coaching, and that's the way it goes. That's our responsibility to find a way to get those things right. So as we go into this, the only thing now we can do is learn from that and learn from where we were emotionally, where we were as we tried to play the game. I know the home run was a topic out there quite a bit. But to be honest with you, we didn't hit a ball hard in 2 games, so it really didn't come into effect.
The early exit from the Big Ten tournament gave an interesting worst-case test for how much value the regular season title would be in postseason seeding. As it turns out, the Big Ten tournament had absolutely no impact, as the Hoosiers got what we think is an ideal draw with the number 2 seed at Louisville. And they knew it too. Go watch the video of the selection celebration. Don't get me wrong, they were happy, they cheered, but you can tell that was the calmest group of dudes in the country. Okay, second calmest. The Cream and Crimson were only outdone in that regard by the Harvard Crimson in what must be, just Google it, Harvard Baseball Selection 2019. After this podcast, just go and Google it. Okay, so the Hoosiers will start play 2 p.m. Friday against Illinois State.
It works, how it moves. I know obviously everyone's different, but just the experience of it, I guess.
It certainly helps that the players here have played, for the most part, have played in the regional. I think it's always important to reiterate what is successful in these type of tournaments. It's the team that's the best with 2 strikes and with 2 outs, the team that can go out and execute the best. I mean, these games are going to be 1-run games in the 7th inning, one way or the other. You're either up or you're down by 1 in the 7th, and you got to find a way to scrap it out in the end. So we talk about those things and make sure that we understand how these games will go and what is successful in a tournament like this. You look at the course of a season over a 24, 26, wherever you play in the conference schedule. You can play a little bit different style, right? You're going to get somebody's Saturday and Sunday guy. You're going to get somebody's 3rd or 4th reliever. You're going to play against the teams that range the spectrum of the conference, and you can win games. Maybe not if you don't win a Friday, you can still go out and win a conference championship. And
even in a bad week, there are highlights. Coach Mercer gave the ball to Braden Tucker and Braden Scott, who combined for no earned runs in 2 innings. The Hoosiers will likely need those arms if they make a regional run. Cass, what's your highlight?
So for me, and the highlight in a very short week is that the Hoosiers then had an extended period to rest, to strategize, watch film, practice, get in the batting cages, throw some bullpens, having that time off, because it was such a short week going into the Big Ten tournament, to have that stretch to just refocus, take a step back, prepare for the next games. To me, that was the best thing that you can take out of a 2-and-out in the Big Ten tourney. So, Chris, what were your highlights and from the alumni this week and all of that?
Thanks, Cass. For me, my Hoosier highlight is that nobody got hurt. And I'm going to assume that they ate some good steaks out in Omaha before they returned. I have no confirmation of this, but I'm going to figure that, the staff, the Big Ten champion staff, the Big Ten champion baseball managers, and the Big Ten champion baseball team, regular season, had some good steaks out in Omaha. I'm going to assume they did. And no one got injured. So to me, that's a Hoosier highlight. As far as some highlights from the alumni, Kyle Schwarber seems back in that home run hitting mood. He hit 2 over the during the week. And he also hit one from the leadoff spot to lead off the game, which he'd never done before. So they're trying him at the top of the order. It seems to be working out pretty well. Josh Fegley is still on fire. 2 more home runs, 6 more RBIs. And today, the all-star ballots were released. And Oakland, of course, their catcher, Josh Fegley, is on the ballot. And you can help vote for him. If you go to athletics.com, MLBvote.com, there's a lot of different ways. I'm going to put it all out on the website. Help him out, and he deserves it. It's not like some homer pick where it's like you're just taking like every Met. I do that. I'll admit it a lot of times. I'll just fill out the whole thing. Josh Fegley deserves it. He's one of the better catchers in the American League this year. He waited for a starting job all this time, and now it's his. And he's killing it. So vote for Fegley. Another alumni highlight. He actually would have been pitching right now, or maybe it had been done already. But Kyle Hart got promoted to AAA. So he's on the Pawtucket Red Sox. He's having a real good season in AA, so they bumped him up. So he's on the team with Sam Travis. So assuming Travis is in the starting lineup tomorrow for Game 2 of their doubleheader, they will take the field together again. I think that's really cool. 4 p.m. start, I believe it is. I have to double check that, though, because they might have switched the times. The doubleheader got moved a whole nother day because today it just poured over there, so it got rained out. But Game 2 is going to be Kyle Hart for his first AAA start of his career. So that's going to be fun. We'll try to keep you updated on Twitter at IUBase17 is usually where I'll do most of the game updates. So check that out. Now for the red belts, again, two in a barbecue. Like Carl said, I did say it. Okay. I said it after we won the Big Ten title, regular season championship. And you know what? They could go 2 in a barbecue. I don't even care. But then as the games got closer, of course, I wanted to win. 4-0 would have been sweet. I've been saying that all week. But if you're not going to go 4-0, 0-2 might not be the worst thing. So for the Hoosier highlights from the Big Ten tournament, we're going to go offensive, the Alex Dickerson Award, whose birthday it was yesterday. Happy birthday, Alex, a day late, 29 years old. Offensive, Drew Ashley. Okay, he had 3 hits, which was the most on the team for the whole tournament. I don't know. It's a fact, though. So, if you get the most hits, whether it's 3 or 14, you got the most. And he also hit the only extra base hit that I could find from the 2 games, which was the triple. And he led off 2 innings with a hit. He does his job at the top of the order. So that was good. Now, for the defensive red belt, we're going to go with Matt Gorski's catch out on the warning track in center field. He kept it a scoreless game. It was nothing. Was it the 6th? I might have wrote the 5th. I think it was the 6th, though. I think it was right before that next inning. So Gorski made that grab. And then Carl mentioned him. For the Joey Donato red belt, we're going to go Paulie Milto for a 6 scoreless, 4 hits, no runs. We got him that 1 run in the 7th. I don't know. He wasn't used to the lead. Maybe it felt like a Friday to him. Things got a little different. Nah, he's been great. But it did, 7th went the way it went. But for 6 shutout innings, for the Joey Donato red belt, we're going to go to Paulie Milto. Now, that actually wraps up all the belts for the season. So what we're going to do is we're going to go over a little bit of a tally of who won what and then who won each award. We're not going to do red belts that count. These are going to be like regional red belts. That's a whole nother thing. That's like the gold shiny red belt. So for these red belts, we're going to go with our winners are done. So we're going to tally them up. Now, for the Tony Butler Award, we have, let's see, Justin Walker won. Matt Lloyd 1, Jeremy Houston 1. Let's see here. Grant Richardson 2, Logan Calatha 2. And our winner for the Tony Butler Award with 6 red belts is Matt Gorski. For the Alex Dickerson Award, Cade Bennell had 1. Cole Ball had 1. Drew Ashley now has 2. Logan Calatha had 1. Matt Gorski had 2. Elijah Dunham had 3. And our winner of the Alex Dickerson Award, Matt Lloyd, with 5. 5 red belts for Matt. So he had a big-time season at the plate. And for the Joey Donato Award, Andrew Salfrank, 3 belts. Paulie Milto. Whoops, we're going to not say Paulie Milto's name yet. Tanner Gordon, 1 red belt. Matt Lloyd, 1. Gabe Pearman with his 2. Tommy Summer got 1. And so that leaves us with 5 red belts for Paulie Milto, back-to-back Joey Donato Award winners. So congratulations to them on these prestigious awards, the Talking Hoosier Baseball Awards. Now, what I did, I went back to the season preview, and Carl, myself, and Josh actually made some predictions. Not that anyone cared that we did that, but we did it anyway. And what I did, I took Tanner Gordon or possibly Cal Kruger for the pitching. I took Logan Calatha or possibly Justin Walker for D, and Gorski or Drew Ashley for offense. So that's 0 for 3 for me. Josh went Cal Kruger or Cam Beecham for pitching, Logan Calatha or Scotty Bradley for hitting, and for D, he went Jeremy Houston or Justin Walker. So that would be 0 for 3 for Josh as well. But then there was Carl. How we looking, Carl? Are we ready to brag a little about your picks? Okay.
Yeah.
So we're gonna hear from Carl now on his preseason picks.
I am going pretty standard for the Donato Award. I'm going with Paulie Milto. I think Fridays are going to be critical, and Milto is going to be up to the task. And I think he's going to be a big dominant force, particularly if he's on Fridays. I do have a little bit of a sleeper pick. That would be Tommy Summer. I think there's opportunities for Tommy to really come in and make a huge splash, whether that's in midweeks, whether it's in long relief, whatever role he ends up in. I think he has an opportunity to make a splash. For the Dickerson Award, I'm going with Matt Lloyd. I think he's about ready to just blow up and explode. I think we're going to see something amazing out of Matt Lloyd this year. My sleeper would be Scotty Bradley. I don't know how much of a sleeper that is. By the numbers, he was pretty phenomenal last year. But like Cass mentioned last year, he's made some gains, and if he can continue with that, he has some opportunities. For the Butler Award, I'm going with Matt Gorski. It may be a poor pick just because of what Josh said, that he might make things look so easy that he just doesn't have a bunch of opportunities to make splashy plays. But my other pick for that one is I'm going to agree with Josh, and I'm going to go with Jeremy Houston, who does have always has some pretty impressive web gems. Chris, what do you have?
We don't want to hear my picks. I already told him my picks. I'm talking to Carl for back in February, I guess, right now. But hell of a job, Carl. He nails them 3 for 3. And even his honorable mentions were on point. Like Tommy Summer had a great thing. Bradley, once he got rolling, had a great season. Yep. So I got to say, that was for me and Josh to not even get one. And then Carl hits all 3. That was cool stuff. We're gonna, like I said, we're gonna announce some red belts next week, and hopefully, another preview pod next weekend. In the history of Talking Hoosier Baseball, we've never done a Supers pod. Both years that we were doing Talking Hoosier Baseball, but hopefully, we are doing a Supers pod, and we can roll out those shiny regional belts. But we'll see. Cass, what do you got for stats for the week?
So I kind of picked the 2 bigger things I think could be important in a long regional appearance. And the first thing coming off of Big Ten tourney at TD Ameritrade was home runs. This team is this offense is so set up for power, even if it's not a home run, just being able to get those extra base hits. But I looked at the records based on home runs. And when the team hits at least one home run, the team is 30-11 with at least one home run. When you get to multiple home runs, it doesn't matter how many, 2, 3, 9, doesn't matter. However many home runs, more than one, They're 18-5. So if they can get more than one home run in a game, it's looking pretty darn good. Now, those games with no home runs, there are 16 of them on the season, and the team is 6-10. This team is built for that power, and so when that power disappears, it can get a little rough. But when that power is there, it's tough for any pitching staff to stop them. But on the flip side of that, you've got the strikeouts. And so I looked at anytime IU has single-digit strikeouts, the team is 18-4 in those games. So if they're not striking out, they're winning. Once you get more than 10 or more strikeouts, so you're getting into that double-digit range, the team is just over 500 at 18-17, which is kind of nuts. But it's still doable. It's a coin toss, but it's doable to win. When they have at least 15 strikeouts, yeah, they're 3-6. No sugarcoating that one. I guess the only positive side are some of those extra innings losses where if you're going 12, 13 innings, odds are you're going to have a lot more strikeouts anyway. I also took a little bit for anyone who didn't follow along with the pre-selection show podcast. We did take a look at hosting ballparks that would be ideal for the Hoosier offense. And Louisville was the third best in that category. It's by the slimmest of margins a pitcher-friendly ballpark. It's essentially a wash. It's pretty even pitcher-batter, and it has a very similar feel to the BART. The dimensions are really similar. Down the left field and right field lines are exactly the same at 330. Left center field is 5 feet further out in Louisville. Center field is 2 feet further out. And the bigger one is right center field, where it's 11 feet further out than the BART. But in general, it's turf. The guys have played there before. This is, as far as ballparks go, a pretty favorable draw, I think, as far as just the numbers and the offense, while also not being so hitter friendly that the pitchers will have trouble. So that should be helpful. So Carl, how did your model turn out, and what thoughts do you have about the selection?
All right. Well, my model did not fare well compared to the experts. Most of the experts had only one or two teams wrong for the field of 64. I missed 3 in my model for the field of 64, and I'll kind of get into that here in a minute. I do feel that this is a positive draw for Indiana. It's in the 7-10 range of the national seeding as far as the super matchup goes. So it's not against one of the teams that is considered to just be almost a guarantee to be in the championship series. So it's and as Cassidy said, there's benefits to the ballpark. In his interview, Matt Gorski said that they felt very comfortable there, that it feels kind of like the BART. So I think this is a good seeding. It's a good opportunity. They've got a bunch of good teams that they're playing. The 1, 2, and 3 seeds both all actually kind of struggled in their conference tournaments. So kind of everyone's sitting at that same place. So I think it's a good opportunity, and it's, and as the coach said, it's about how they play the game this weekend, how they approach the game this weekend, and they've proven that they can go up against a top Friday guy. They did it against Michigan, and they won. They can do this, so they can go against Illinois State's really top left-handed Friday guy, and I think they can do something. That's the challenge. That's what they got to go do.
Hey, Carl, I just wanted to jump
yeah.
in. I think the atmosphere is going to be something that we're not accustomed to. For the guys who were in the regional last year at Texas for that game 6, okay, they're somewhat accustomed to them. When we lost to Kentucky that day, remember, I still had the hall pass, and since we didn't get that second game, I went to Louisville for the game 6 against Xavier, and that place was a zoo. Okay, it is loud. It is crazy. I was going to jump in when Cass was talking, but it went too quick just to really double down on what she was talking about with the gaps and the ball flying out. Because I saw 3, 4, 5 extra base hits by lefties to the right center field gap. I saw 2 home runs by both teams. It was a really back and forth game. Louisville ended up winning, but that ball jumps out of that place. Now, it was very warm that day. I think we were in the 90s. It was a lot warmer the day before against the Ohio. I remember that game, but it was very warm. But that ball was jumping. That place is hopping. They got guys on top of RVs watching the game. So the atmosphere, we're used to the field, but we're not used to the we play them on a midweek. You know what I'm saying? In May, it's going to be very, very different for the games that we're playing against them. And I just execution, and really sticking to the details in that loud environment is going to be real, real key. And it's not something I think we can go without mentioning.
Yep. Thank you, Chris. I do want to pivot a little bit to the rest of the selection. Real positive was 5 Big Ten teams have made the field. So Illinois and Indiana are 2 seeds. Michigan and Nebraska are 3 seeds, and Ohio State, who barely made it into the Big Ten tournament as a 7th seed, went on to win the Big Ten tournament, and they are going in as a 4 seed. So you actually have a Power Conference 4 seed this year, which is interesting. But as I said, I missed 3 in my computer-based model, and 2 were in my first 3 out, but they all have something in common. They're all major Power 5 schools that had losing records in their conference. So Florida from the SEC, Florida State from the ACC, and TCU from the Big 12. Those 3 I did not have picked in my model, partially because I followed the Kentucky model from last year, which is that, hey, you have a solid RPI, a solid 2 seed level RPI, but you go 13 and 17 in the SEC, you're out. That didn't hold up this time. TCU, a 58, number 58 RPI. Typically, 45 is the cutoff mark. They had a 58 RPI plus a losing record in their conference. And it was not defensible. Just come down right. There's no reason that TCU should be in this tournament. They did not earn it. You can sit there and say, oh, they had injuries and those guys are coming back and they're playing their best ball right now. Well, cool, then they could have won the Big 12 tournament. They didn't. They did not win the Big 12 tournament. No, they don't belong in the tournament. They absolutely do not. And they're teams that really do. Texas State won their league. They're not going because they didn't win their tournament. But they had a solid year, and they won their league. BYU won their league. And both of those teams had RPIs that were qualifying to get them in. And they got bumped by TCU. Florida and Florida State, you could make a little bit more of an argument for. But even still, I'm sorry. I didn't think the RPIs were there. But, that's those at least, they were on the border. TCU was not defensible. And I'm not the only one who says that. You can go listen to just about anybody. They will that talks about this, whether it's the 11.7 podcast, whether you read d1baseball.com, they'll all tell you that the whole TCU thing was just a travesty. So I'm adding my voice to that as well, because I have it in numbers base, and I don't think the numbers defended it. The Big Ten tournament, congratulations to Ohio State. I do have a little bit of a rant about the Big Ten tournament, which is I think a format change needs to be made, specifically in the semifinal round. The way the tournament works, it's complicated. Chris kind of went over it last week. There's the whole bracket flipping, which I like the bracket flipping. But the 2-1 team having to beat the 2-0 team twice, I don't agree with. I think it should go to single elimination that day. That will limit it to where nobody has to play more than 5 games in the tournament. The team that is 2-0 still has a major advantage. They got a day off. They got to rest their bullpen, and they get to pitch their third starter, which the other team doesn't get to do. If they can't win that first game, they don't get to go to the championship, in my opinion. And this isn't new. This is what the SEC does. They start single elimination on Saturday. So that's my opinion. I think it can have an impact. I think a team like Indiana in their second game, thinking if we keep winning, we're going to have to blow through 5 9-inning games of pitching in order before the games that actually count in the regional. I think it's telling. And I really think the Big Ten ought to really consider eliminating the if necessary games on Saturday. Now, one thing the model that my model kind of showed, and something I don't think any of the other national pundits have shown, is it's interesting. 3 teams saw a benefit to having won their regular season conference, but only 3. As I said, Texas State got no benefit from it. BYU got no benefit from it. 3 teams got a benefit. Louisville, whose RPI had them as a host, but not a national seed, they get a national seed. Same thing for Texas Tech. Indiana, our Hoosiers, RPI of a 3 seed. Winning that regular season Big Ten title got them bumped up. The other 2 Power 5 conference leaders were the number 1 and number 2 overall seeds and would have been anyway. So really you can't factor anything there. But, people go through all of these different things about it. And when it comes down to it was the bump for winning the regular season title goes to exclusively the Power 5. You may like that. You may not. But I think that message was made very clear by the committee this year. And someone once told me, it was interesting that a few years ago when Indiana was sitting at about 80 in the RPI, but was actually threatening to win the Big Ten title, the one year Indiana did not go in the last 7 to a regional, said that they were sure that the committee was going to put Indiana in. And I always argued against that. I've kind of changed my tune on that. I think even with an 80 RPI, if IU had won that Big Ten title, they would have gone to a regional. So it's something to think about, something to consider. But I will now go ahead and and get off of my soapbox, because I got because my model didn't do what I wanted it to do. But my Hoosiers are in Louisville, so I'm happy. But now we get to make picks for what's going to happen in the regionals, and we can compete against each other. And Cassidy's going to give us a little bit more detail on that.
Yes. So D1 baseball is once again doing their bracket challenge, similar to March Madness. And Josh will soon be sending out information about joining our iubase.com bracket group. And depending on the number of people who sign up and submit brackets, the prize for the winner will either be one of the state flag hats or an IU baseball shirt. And so Josh will have more information about how to sign up for that. So you can watch for that over the next day or so. But now that we've gotten the stats surrounding the regionals, we've gotten the information on the selection show, we've gotten how to submit your own picks and prove that you know these regionals better than anyone else. So, Chris, let's preview the actual teams in this regional.
So there will be games going on soon, huh? No, this is the best time of year, though, when you know you're in and you're just waiting for the playoffs to start, whether it's hockey team or your football team or your baseball team. You don't have the nerves and everything of the actual games going on yet, but you can still celebrate because you're on your way to playing them, which is great. As we all know, it's the Louisville Regional. It starts on Friday. We are the 2 seed. The 1 seed is Louisville. The 3 seed is Illinois State. And the 4th seed is UIC. That's Illinois Chicago. It's not Loyola Chicago. Just wanted to get that out there. There was some confusion in the Facebook group that Sister Jean was going to be in the building. And a lot of us were like getting a little nervous because we saw what she did for the basketball team. This is not Sister Jean's. That's Loyola of Chicago. So this is UIC. So it's a little different. But they're good. They're good. They're the Flames. We'll get into them. But they are a good team. But to start off, we're going to play Illinois State. They're the Redbirds. They're the 26th in the RPI. They had a 34-24 record. The strength of schedule was 36 in the country. So that's impressive. They were 19-17 on the road and 2-2 in neutral spots. They only played 18 home games. They only had 20 scheduled. I think they had 2 canceled probably due to weather. But they went 13-5. But these guys are road warriors. They played most of their season on the road or in neutral spots. So they're used to this. They won a game against Vanderbilt. They let's see, it was the second game of a doubleheader. They won 9-3. So, and that was in Vandy. That wasn't in a neutral spot. That was in Nashville. So that's impressive. They had a win against Dallas Baptist. They have 2 wins against Indiana State. And the Dallas Baptist was Friday night. So that makes it even more impressive, to be honest. They lost in the semis of the Missouri Valley tournament. And they made it in as an at-large bid, obviously. Now, there's some connections you'll start to see as we get through these teams. Everybody's connected somehow. It really seems that way. And in this connection, Steve Holm, which is their coach, he worked with Waz at Purdue in 17 and 18. So he knows our guys. He recruited a bunch of our guys. And then, of course, he coached against us the past 2 years. I don't know if he was strictly the pitching coach or they called him an assistant coach or associate head coach, but he was Waz's right hand before he left to go to Illinois State. So he knows the IU players. He's a former big league catcher. He played for the Giants in 2008 and 2009. Really high regarded coach, Steve Holm. They run. These guys run, okay? They've tried to steal 90 bases on the season, 65 times successful. So are they a little reckless on the base pass? Maybe that too. We want to keep an eye on that because these guys want to run. They got 4 guys in double-digit steals. They got 3 guys that hit 300 for the season. Joe Isles is their offensive star, 13-14 out of steals, 10 home runs, 46 RBIs. They also have John Rave, 12 home runs, 48 doubles. Okay, so we want to keep an eye on him. Now, their Friday night guy is Brent Hedrick. All right, he's got a 3.5 ERA. He's 9-3 on the season. He's pitched 90 innings. He's got 101 strikeouts. Okay, and that's against 22 walks. He's not a fireballer. Okay, he's a big lefty. I saw some video on him reminding me a little bit of Cole Hamels. If I had to pick a comp, watching him, he's 6'6", 220. He tops out at like 91, 92, but he's got the breaker. He's got off-speed stuff. He's not what we like to hit against. Okay, Mercer mentioned it in the presser. Pitchability, I believe, was the word he used. I think that's a nice way to say the guy doesn't throw 95. But he's good. Okay, he was the pitcher of the year in the conference. And, this is something that we've had issues with. Okay, this kid can pitch. I'm assuming he's pitching against us. I can't see them risking throwing another guy just to hope to use him against the winner of the next game, but maybe. But I'm going to assume he's going to be throwing. Let's see what else. We got anything else on them? Let's see. Oh, Colton Johnson, a reliever. Okay, this guy's good. All right, he can throw. He's got I can't find it. 230 batting average against. He is impressive on the mound. A lot of guys we're talking about. He's even coming up on lists as far as swing and misses. All right, he's real high on the swing and miss rate. Now they have a couple of ex-players, Paul DeJong of the Cardinals, and Mike Kotz. He's an old White Sox alum, so that's something to look out for. And as far as alumni that could be at the games, now this one, if these two show up, forget it. Teddy KGB, okay, John Malkovich is an Illinois State alum, and Lieutenant Dan, Gary Sinise. Can you imagine if Lieutenant Dan and Teddy KGB are sitting next to each other in the Louisville Regional? Forget about it. That would be the best. But so that's Illinois State. That's Friday at 2 o'clock. All right, let me get rid of some of these papers. I got a lot of papers. All right, so now the next game, which is going to be the excuse me, why don't I have this in front of me? 6 o'clock game. Okay, that's UIC in Louisville. All right, so we're going to review UIC now. They're the Flames. They're out of the Horizon League. Okay, they won the Wright State League where Coach Mercer came from. So Coach Mercer knows them, just like the Illinois State coach knows the IU players. All right, they were 30-21. They finished 3 games back of Wright State, who won 41 games in the regular season, but then they won the tournament. So obviously they get the automatic bid. They beat Milwaukee, then they beat Wright State, and then they beat Milwaukee again in the final to earn the bid. All right, so they've got some big wins. Now, Mike D is their head coach, very highly regarded coach. He's been there since 1999. He's helped a ton of guys get into the major leagues, most notably Curtis Granderson. Okay, Curtis Granderson is an alum there. His teams are famous for great defense. In 2017, I looked it up. They led the NCAA in fielding percentage. Okay, so he's a big defensive coach, a big fundamental guy. And is he coaching a Power 5 team? No, but these guys can play. They're good under pressure. They won a game at Texas A&M. They won a game at Vandy in the past few years. They've played in some big environments. They've played on the road. They've made 6 regionals under Mike D's tenure as head coach. So, you know, this is a guy that's not gonna blink, and he knows Coach Mercer. Okay, in this league, you don't play like maybe you'll play the team during the season, like in the Big Ten. You play home and homes every season in the Horizon. So you play 6 games a year every single year. All right, so he knows the style. He knows what they're working with. So if we end up playing UIC, that's something that's the connection there. All right, their big pitcher's Jacob Key. I gotta think he's thrown against Louisville, but maybe not. He's 86 strikeouts in 100 innings. Again, not a fireball, but he's definitely would be their number one. They have another good reliever, Alex Padilla. He's very good. Okay, he has 7 saves. He just seems to be a 1-inning guy, though. He's got a .90 ERA, and he's 1-0 on a season. So, you know, if they catch a lead on him, you throw him in, it can close that door big time. Scott Oda is a big bat for UIC. He's hitting .358 with 19 home runs. Okay, he's slugging .746, which is 12th total in the NCAA. Believe it or not, he's got 69 hits and 62 RBIs. So also Ryan Hamp, 14 doubles, 5 bombs, and 47 RBIs. So if we end up playing UIC, not only will it be a team that can, you know, score, but it's a team that's going to be very well coached and that knows Coach Mercer quite well. So that's something to look at. And obviously, their opponent in that game is going to be Louisville. We know a ton about Louisville, right? We play them every year. We do the home and home midweeks. All right. We most recently played them at the BART. That slop of a game, to be honest, man, that thing was a mishmash from beginning to end. Well, we still had a shot there, but we did lose it in extras. And then the year before, we played them at Louisville, and we're going to get into that in a minute because that means a little something to this season too. So it's the Louisville Cardinals. All right, then the number 9 RPI. They're the 7th national seed, so they're due to host supers like Carl was talking about. 43-15 on the season, 27-7 at home. All right, 31st strength of schedule. They're 22-4 outside of the ACC. I looked up their non-conference losses. You got 2 to UConn at a neutral site. Xavier got them in extras, and they lost to Vandy. So, I mean, this is a challenge. There's going to be a challenge to play them at home. All right, it's going to be a big-time environment, like I mentioned to Carl before. Now, we have had success against them, though, but it's very different. We only play them on the midweeks. Okay, we don't go against their number 1 guys. But in this case, their number 1 guy, as a sophomore, was their midweek pitcher last year. So we did face him. All right, that was Reed Detmers. All right, now this was that game. For those who remember, it was a real tight one early. All right, so it was Reed Detmers versus Cam Beecham. Beecham pitched an amazing game. He shut him out for 5 innings, and Detmers basically matched it He only gave up 1 run in the 5 innings. I got it here. It was a double. Sowers drove in Lloyd. That was the only run. So going into the 6th, it was 1-0 us. We didn't have very many hits off that. It looks like Feynman got a hit. Gorski hit a double. It was tight. It was a tight game. Now, it got a little wacky towards the end of the game. We went into the pen. If you remember, Cole Barr had a big pinch hit in the 9th to tie it. Then Matt Lloyd hit the bomb in extras to put us ahead, and then we won. But there's definitely a rivalry here. When they came in 16, they were very highly ranked, and we beat them with Coach Limo and all that. Obviously, there's that connection. Coach Mercer played at Louisville in a regional not too long ago and lost. He did get to the regional final. It was the game 6. He played there plenty of times as an athlete. He mentioned that. I didn't even realize. But I also had looked up that he's played there as a coach. He knows the environment. He knows it's going to be big time. And he's also been there for these regionals. I can't stress you. I tried to find the video, but I must have deleted it. I got a video of a 3-run homer this guy hit while I was there. It is crazy there. It's a really fun. Now, for us, it won't be fun if they're going crazy. But as a neutral observer at that game, it was a really fun environment to be in. Very loud, very interactive crowd, smart baseball fans. But so are we. And it sounds like we got quite a few coming. So I'm looking forward to that. But there's your preview. Now, just to go over real quick on the situation, I know I put it out on the site, but if we win on Friday, the 2:00 game, we will be playing at 4:00 on Saturday. If we lose, we'll be playing at 11. Okay? If we lose 2 days in a row, it's 2 in the barbecue again. This one I do not want. Big Ten tournament's a little different. If we should win Friday at 2:00 and win Saturday at 4:00, we wouldn't play Sunday until 6:00. And that would be, I think, usually they call that the catbird seat. You go 2-0, and you've got definitely an advantage for the rest of the regional. Should we lose either of the first 2 games, we will be facing a win or go home doubleheader as we did last year when we knocked out Texas A&M, and then we took Texas all the way down to the wire. So that was some day, I'll tell you. But hopefully we don't need that. Hopefully we don't need that this year. Hopefully we're sitting there 2-0 come Sunday evening. Down here in Louisville. If you're going, it does look like there might be a little bit of weather issues. We'll see. They're talking about some thunderstorms here and there, but you might see Teddy KGB. You might see Gary Sinise, Lieutenant Dan, Kurtz Granderson. Nah, he's playing baseball, so he won't be there. But I did find that there is an alum. Who was it? Was it the UIC alum? You guys remember Family Ties, Mr. Keaton? UIC alum. So that would be pretty wild. You see Mr. Keaton sitting with Teddy KGB and Lieutenant Dan. This is going to be a fun time, folks. We talked about it a few weeks ago. Do not take it for granted. These don't come around. Well, they seem to be coming around quite often, but it's nothing to guarantee. 6 out of 7 with 3 different coaching staffs. We did do it. We're sitting here. Like I said, it's so exciting this time of the year. The games will be rolling Friday. Fill out a bracket, like Cass said. Josh will send that out. I know Carl has some final thoughts himself, so we're going to send it over to him.
Thank you, Chris. Well, all I really have to say is I'm feeling good about this team, and it was interesting because I've been hearing a lot of different analysis of Indiana, and it all seems to talk about the Hoosier offense, about all of the home runs. And I think sometimes for the team, everyone who looks at the team just kind of that isn't following the team really close. That's what they're going to highlight because it's such a big deal and such a big story about all the home runs this team hits. But the foundation of this team is pitching. This is a phenomenal starting rotation. Every time a starter goes out, you're practically expecting a quality start because they almost deliver day in and day out. So you've got Milto, Gordon, Salfrank. You've got the Big Ten pitcher of the year is the Sunday guy. This is a phenomenal starting rotation. And now you're starting to see pieces like Gabe Bierman where you've got solid middle relief. And you're seeing even some of the young guys really start to provide bullpens. So I'm thinking what could make this team really competitive and possibly even win this regional is the quality of the pitching arms of this Hoosier baseball team. And I'm feeling very good about that. And then, with that, the offense just needs to do enough damage to get the W's. Well, that'll do it for this edition of Talking Hoosier Baseball. Read up on Indiana baseball at iubase.com. Follow us on Twitter at CUAtTheBart and at IUBase17. Please leave us a review on iTunes, Google Play, or Stitcher. For Cassidy Palmer and Chris Feeney, I'm Carl James. See you at the Bart.
I'm going back to Indiana now to see my baby in her evening gown. And even